we can all agree that there are many forms of generational curses, and that depending on whichever bloodline, whatever history we come from, how that exhibits in each individual is different, right? Because we've been programmed with race, right? Our backgrounds deviate. There are things that certain people have experienced that other people cannot resonate with. Even if they experience assimilation of it, it's still not the same as someone else's, right? Specifically because each person's experiences are unique to each individual. So what could be traumatic for me might not be so much for you, right? Or what might be traumatic for you might not be so much for me. And that's understandable, right? Since we are all unique individuals. Now, what we do all experience are emotions and feelings. Now, the extent of how we experience that is unique to each individual, but we can all agree that we experience emotions and we have feelings, and that's something that we have in is a similarity. Like that's a similarity for all of us, right? Now, where I'm getting with this is that because we all as a human race have gone through different experiences, whether that be now or in the past, right? So our ancestors went through certain things that we might be going through right now. However, the way that they experienced it is not the same as we experience it today because the times have changed, right? But they experience of a variation of what we are experiencing now, and we're experiencing what they experienced, but in a different way, right? So anything that they've experienced before that they were not able to heal, someone in the bloodline now will experience it again until we heal it. Which is why it's important that we go ahead and we heal whatever traumas, injustices that were done, whatever forms of unforgiveness that happened, forms of betrayal that occurred in the bloodline, because it'll continue to repeat itself until somebody in the bloodline heals it. I hope that makes sense. Anything that we don't heal now will repeat itself. That's why I was speaking, like I was saying the other day, about how it ended with me, right? The incest ended with me. The Right, the incest. Let's just use that example. The incest ended with me. Like my children will not have to go through that because I went ahead and no more. I spoke about it. I removed myself. We're not gonna do that anymore. The the dark magic that was being done and all that stuff, right? It ends with me now. Are there people still practicing? Are there still people going at it? Of course they are. Even with the incest, even with the other forms of I'm just gonna say abuse, right? So that we could keep it stable. There still are, right? But there has to be that individual that stands up and goes against the grain. And when we do that, we're not looked upon very well, right? That's why it's important that we heal and have our ancestors with us, because it's a lonely road. It's a very lonely road. However, we're never alone, because what we did was that we freed up those ancestors that went through the same thing that we went through. Even the ones that went ahead and were actively doing those things, we freed them up too. We broke those chains, right? So now these ancestors have ascended to the light, and now they're able to to lead and guide us. And even if they were in darkness, they're able to integrate their light and their darkness and be able to guide us. So if there are things that we didn't know because we're naive, they have a vast like they have studies from when they were dark and diabolical that they can go ahead and, like, teach us now about how to, like, deal with certain things that we wouldn't have the knowledge of because we haven't been in, we're not into that. But they're able to intervene on our behalf in the spiritual realm when it comes to this and make us alert of things that are happening or about to come, and in ways on how we can protect ourselves and rise above it and not make the same mistakes that they made, so that we don't repeat history over and over again. Because one of the things that our ancestors lacked was forgiveness, right? They were not so forgiving. That's why even now in the spiritual realm, when they go ahead and ascend, right, and they're now protecting us, and they see that people are attacking us, and they're like, you need to forgive, go heal, right? Well, I'm speaking on my behalf because that's what happens to me. I'm informed of what's happening, of what's going on around me, but my responsibility is to heal all of that. Like, I'm made aware, I have to go heal it, right? And the reason why healing is so important is because the mistake that my ancestors made was that they weren't forgiving. They were not so kind, right? They had a stiff neck. They didn't want to listen. They wanted to fight evil with evil, and so they did, and they became, or they got so hurt that they decided to go and do evil stuff and not heal. And so it repeated itself, or they became the people that were abusing them, right? So now in the spiritual realm, as I'm healing the bloodline, my ancestors are all about, you need to heal. But when it comes to somebody attacking me, they're not so forgiving. Because we're not going to forget who they are. Like, I need to forgive. I need to heal. I need to walk my path. But when it comes to my ancestors who I freed from certain things, they'll be damned if somebody puts a finger on me or sends me any negative energy. And when they do, if they do let it hit me or attach anything to me, it's for me to be able to learn from it, so that I could be able to see what that feels like, what that is, and how to heal from it, so that I can speak about it. So that because I was in the last video I just made, I was talking about how we go ahead and we integrate the 3D with the 5D when we heal our subconscious, because that's the bridge. Wow, that's the bridge for us to be able to connect with the spiritual realm, is our subconscious, our mind. And the way we make it there is through forgiving it all, not passing judgment, and healing. And the reason why we don't pass judgment is because everything that we pass judgment on, we go ahead and repeat. Somebody in our bloodline is going to go and repeat it. So if you didn't heal from it, your child is going to go ahead and do it. It's going to have to go through that. And it might not be the same as you had to go through it. It'll be different. You don't have any control of how it shows up for them, which is why it's important that we heal now. I hope that makes sense. So I'm really excited because as I'm speaking, it's being revealed to me what it is that I'm doing here. And it's bridging the 3D with the 5D. And the way that we do that is through healing. And when we do that, we free our ancestors and we heal them. So when they go ahead and want to have another experience here in the earthly realm, they reincarnate into something stable with a solid foundation of prosperity, of abundance, of bliss, which is our birthright. And a lot of the things that we had to go through or they had to go through no longer will exist because we had gone and healed that. Making a better earth, a new earth. And so we do that now by choosing to heal, choosing to forgive, not pass judgment, balancing our light and darkness, and taking care of our vessel.